call, and the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the show. Hope everybody's doing good this morning. I'm recording this actually on Monday before me and John hit the road a little bit early. We're taking off for Auburn and hoping that we can stay out in front of this bad weather that's coming through. Last thing we want to do is get stuck on the road somewhere. So we're dipping out early. That means we're going to be down there longer. We're really excited, honestly, to be heading down to the Jungle, Neville Arena. Heard a lot of good things about it, and it should be fun. I mean, the Hogs get a shot at number one, a long shot. I mean, like we said yesterday, they're probably going to be like 17-point underdogs or something down there. But you know what happened the last time they played number one Auburn? Get excited about it. It's cool. Hopefully they show up to play. I hope they do. We're driving all the way down there. We can't fly. No, John will never get on an airplane again after what happened with his luggage, but that's okay. Road trip should be a blast. And if you're making the trip, let us know. We'd love to link up before the game, during the game, whatever. If you're an Auburn fan happening to be listening to this podcast this morning, hit me up with some recommendations. Big foodie here. Trying to figure out where we're going to go grub while we're down there. But before we do dive in today to today's what do I call it? Unique, probably topic of conversation. I do want to remind everybody about our sponsors over at Alumni Hall, the best place to go for all of your Razorback apparel. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. They've got all the top brands, any type of apparel you could imagine. Hats, Yetis, accessories, tailgate gear, Christmas trees, all kinds of gifts. Every time you spend $150 and you get a $10 reward to use the next time. If you're an Arkansas student, faculty, or military, show your ID and you get 10% off. They're always getting new awesome stuff, so go check them out. They got all the new baseball jerseys. They got the pinstripes. They got the hats. They got the basketball NIL jerseys. Get you a 3J Wagner jersey if that's your thing. Go check them out. It's worth it. Alumni Hall in Fayetteville. That's 3417 North College Avenue in Fayetteville. Or you can shop online. Go to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. It's where the true Razorback fans shop. Okay. Oh, man. I tell you what, there's a clip going around from the press conference. It's partially my fault because I put it out there too. It's got a lot of folks scratching their head in Razorback Nation. So I want to take a few minutes today and unpack it because there's a lot going on there. What is John Calipari talking about? More Jonas Aidoo sharing the floor with Big Z, less Thiero. He's going to take a back seat now. Make it make sense. What's going on? Has he lost it? Let's start by playing the clip here real quick, and then we'll have some context and we'll digest this thing one piece at a time. Here you go.
Reason I didn't play Z more, if you were watching the game, why didn't I play him more? Okay, just so I need to know if you're really watching the game. So he got scored on. He didn't block. He doesn't block. Then I got to go with the other guy. Jonas played well. Jonas played the way I needed him to play. The surgery set him back, but Jonas played. I may have to play both of those two together to get the offense, figure out defensively what we're going to do and how we're going to play. And that means Adou maybe take a little more of a back seat.
Oh, man. The comments to my tweet about this, the text that I've got, the DMs from Razorback fans, from BBN, I mean, you name it. It's been an entertaining 48 hours or so since we saw this. Enough to where I'm going to do an entire show about it because people are talking about it quite a bit. Several things going on here. First, there's a lot of like subliminal messaging, I think. I mean, I don't know. Like I didn't call John Calipari and ask him, but I think you can read between the lines a little bit with some of this. Like first, part of this is designed to give Jonas Aidoo like a shot in the arm of confidence, right? Because the last two games, he has looked much better. Not saying he's a world beater out there, but he's been a heck of a lot better than he was. And that's important. I think Cal knows, he understands that, for Arkansas to make any sort of run or whatever, he at least needs these types of games, like what we saw against LSU, what we saw against Texas A&M from Jonas, where he's playing very solid team defense and he's given Arkansas a serviceable backup big for double-digit minutes. Because I don't know that you can realistically ask Z to play 35, 40 minutes every single game. He's too big. He's not built for that. And he's been great, but I don't know what you can ask him for that. And you need as confident and as focused of a Jonas Aidoo as possible in the event of foul trouble or, knock on wood, injuries. He's been hurt and sick a number of times this year. We know the luck that this team has had. The more you're getting out of all 8 of your guys, the better. And right now he's seeing Jonas trending in the right direction. So I think part of that messaging is, hey, dude, we're going to do whatever we got to do to get you on the floor because you're doing the things that we're asking of you. And that should keep him motivated and fired up to maybe continue to do that, continue taking step forwards. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, with that being said, do I think that Adou Thiero should be taking a back seat to get Jonas on the floor more? No, absolutely not. That's crazy talk. But think about it for a minute. One, that doesn't have to be the case. If he wants to play them together, we'll talk about it if that makes sense or not in a second here. But it doesn't have to come at Thiero's expense. Couldn't it just come at maybe TB's expense when Thiero is out? So what's Trevin giving you 10, 15 minutes a game there at the 4? And has he been giving you much here lately? Like he's kind of been on the downswing there. Maybe that's where you could find that as opposed to taking it from Thiero. Okay, well, Curtis, why did he say maybe a dude takes a back seat? Well, I mean, I think that most of us can acknowledge that Thiero hasn't quite looked like himself the last couple games. I'm not saying he's been awful by any means, but he's 2 of 8 from the floor against LSU, 2 of 6 against A&M. Not as much of a factor defensively. It's been enough to the point where we've kind of been wondering out loud, is he still sick? Is something bothering him, like a nagging injury? It doesn't look quite right in there. Below his standard, right? At a time when the team needs him at his best. So another layer to this, I think, is Cal, who's been known to do this in the past, kind of challenging his best player to step it back up for the last stretch here. And I think that's okay too. And I think Adou Thiero is a guy that you can do that with because he understands the message. Like it should be well received from him, a guy who's in his 3rd year playing for Cal. He understands. He gets it. He's been there. He knows. It's not going to be lost on him. I don't think he's going to look at that and be like, oh, wow, he's belling on me for the guy who hasn't been helping us all of SEC play, and now he has a couple decent games out there, and I'm getting thrown to the wolf. No, I don't think he's going to take it that way. I don't. Now, I like Big Blue Nation. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think your PTSD was triggered when Cal mentioned playing his 2 bigs together. Like, this is not a new concept that he just threw out there on Saturday after the A&M game. He's done this. He's talked about this in the past, and it drove people nuts. I know, like in 2015 or whatever, it worked. More recently, it has not. We've seen Arkansas take advantage of some Kentucky teams where he was trying to play another big with Oscar Tshiebwe, and then they had Severe Wheeler out there too, and it was just it was clunky, it was gross, it didn't work. I get it. I do think for this though, it's kind of more about the skill set of your bigs and the amount of shooting that you have around them, because it's spacing, right? That becomes the primary concern offensively, at least. So, it's not ideal, but it's also not the worst idea in the world in stretches. Theoretically, if you have shooters, let me air quote that, and Nelly and Carter to go along with Z on the floor. And then like DJ he can make a 3. Aidoo can't. But it's not like they would have, 5 non-shooters out there and just completely pack the lane. Z's your best 3-point shooter, so that's always going to help you a little bit with your spacing there. This also doesn't mean that both of those guys have to be parked in the paint. It's because you're playing 2 bigs doesn't mean you have to play them like 2 bigs, if that makes sense. And it also doesn't mean that Z just has to be stuck hovering around the perimeter at a time where he's getting better with his back to the basket and scoring around the rim more. It's not like you're just taking that away and you're doing to him what Muss did with Trevin Brazile last year, where he never set foot inside the arc. No. It doesn't have to be that way at all. Like there's creative ways to work it out. In fact, I think back to, again, much smaller scale, but when I was coaching at Lindenwood, we played 2 bigs pretty much every year that I was there, and we modeled just kind of a 4-out, 1-in offense, very similar to what Jay Wright ran at Villanova for a long time. He started doing it at Hofstra, and then he was running at Villanova. Lots of slot ball screen, middle ball screen, where when your big man rolls hard, then the guy who's already on the block replaces him with a hard pop out to the perimeter. And it's just kind of a two-man game from that standpoint. Lots of quick hitters with pick and pops into post-ups. Lots of things that you can do with big-on-big screens to free up some early action, right, to eliminate any hard hedges and give the ability for your guard to get downhill on it more. There's a lot of things that you can do with that. Horn sets that you can run with the two bigs. Like, you can have fun with it offensively. And I think you could have fun with it with Jonas and Z. If I'm being honest, I'm not advocating it for, long stretches of the game or whatever, but there's some possibilities there that, from a chalk talk standpoint, you kind of go, this could be kind of fun. Maybe you wish that you had more offensive game from Jonas right now, but he could still be in the role where it's like dump off, layups, trash man around the rim. And, you could probably make it work to a degree. The point is you could make it work. Remember for the first 10 games a few years ago, Muss started Connor Vanover and Jalen Williams together. And they didn't play together a ton. They started that way. So it was maybe 8 to 10 minutes a game, right? The first rotation in the first half, the first of the second half. And that was kind of it. But it was a different look to throw at teams. It worked okay because both of those guys were good passers and at least capable shooters. I know Connor didn't make that many, but that was part of his game, and it was still respected. The bigger problem with this comes defensively, right? It's highly unlikely that John Calipari is going to actually implement a zone. That's one thing a lot of people say. It's like, oh, yeah, whatever. They could just run a zone. Take some pressure off having those two bigs defensively. Yeah, he's probably not going to do that. Frankly, I'll just say this. I think he would be foolish to do that. What's the strength of this basketball team right now? It's defense. They have a top 25 defense in the country. So I wouldn't go messing with it by running a bunch of zone all of a sudden, like what they're doing. And they've got some flaws in there with the middle pick and roll and, some different areas. Sometimes the 3-point defense can lag a little bit, especially early in games. But hey, top 25 in the country at this stage of the season in this SEC, that means you're pretty good on that end of the floors. I wouldn't be messing with it too much. To me, like individually, you can only really play the positions that you can defend, if that makes sense. And in an SEC that's so athletic, and a lot of teams play those hybrid fours, like a Thiero, or those jumbo wings who can stretch the floor and really shoot it, guys who have a bunch of guard skills. That's where it would be really tough, in my opinion. Jonas, Big Z, like those guys are better defensively around the basket. There's no denying that, no sugarcoating that. I will say, though, I'm just going to throw this out there. Don't yell at me. In fairness, if John Calipari was ever going to give this a real look, Auburn would be one of the few teams that I think you could somewhat rationalize doing it against. Why do I say that? Because they kind of do the same thing that Muss did, where he would start Jalen Williams and Connor Vanover together for rotation, maybe do it again to start the second half. Not much, but did it a little bit. Bruce Pearl does that with Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell. Now, again, they might only play 4 to 8 minutes like that together, but when those two guys are sharing the floor, theoretically, Z and Jonas Aidoo could do the same thing. And you can stick with what you got with Thiero or, Brazil, whatever. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to do that too big look, it would make more sense to do it against Auburn than a lot of the other teams that Arkansas is going to face the rest of the way. Because Cardwell, and he's a good high motor guy. I like Cardwell a lot. I wish Arkansas had a player like him, physical, high motor, but he's a total non-threat on the perimeter. And Broome, he's a National Player of the Year candidate. Like, you're going to have to deal with that dude anyway, and his skill set and everything he's able to do. I'm just saying it's not crazy. Like, it's not the unthinkable. Let me be clear, though. I'm not promoting this change at all. I'm not. I'm not hinting that it will actually happen. I don't have any insider information where it's like, yo, we're doing this. Look out. I'm just saying Auburn's one of the few teams that it would even be worth considering. And I don't think that it was lost on John Calipari when he said what he said about potentially doing this. I know he likes to do a thing where I don't even know who's up on the schedule next. Yes, he does. And I'm sure they've already talked about it a little bit. And it might have been one of those things where they went, well, what are we going to do early when they go two bigs? We sure don't want, Thiero having to muscle up with the 260-pound Dylan Cardwell down there and getting in early foul trouble, and then he's out. Should we think about mixing it up? They've probably had that conversation. So whatever. I don't know. I was about to try to make a prediction on whether or not I think they're going to actually do this. I don't think they're there yet, but I'm just saying it wouldn't be crazy against Auburn. Wouldn't that be something? Could you imagine if I get to tweet out, there's been a change to Arkansas' starting lineup, and Jonas Aidoo is replacing Adou Thiero. Y'all be tripping, man. Oh my goodness, it'd be funny. Sign me up for it because I want to see the backlash. And then who the heck knows what it would look like in there. If they do, they're not going to do it a lot. Like, it's not going to be a thing that they go for 25 minutes a game dealing with. That's crazy talk. But I think for the most part, for a majority of it, a lot of messaging individually that it feels like John Calipari was trying to do there. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up and get out of here, get packed, get ready to go on this trip, and be on the lookout for our content coming from Auburn. We're going to be somewhere for Inside Arkansas Live this afternoon on Tuesday in like Mississippi-ish, where we're going to go live and do a show there, and then we'll get down to Auburn that evening, and we're looking forward to it. Big game, big opportunity for Arkansas. We'll see what they're able to do, but appreciate you guys, man, for tuning in. As always, we say it at the end of every show, but it's sincere. Very grateful for everybody that listens on the daily, and looking forward to bringing some onside coverage from the jungle. We'll see what it's all about. Y'all have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow.